بسم الله. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. باب التوبة. قال العلماء: التوبة واجبة من كل ذنب، فإن كانت المعصية بين العبد وبين الله تعالى لا تتعلق بحق آدمي فلها ثلاثة شروط: أحدها أن يقلع عن المعصية، والثاني أن يندم على فعلها، والثالث أن يعزم أن لا يعود إليها أبدا، فإن فقد أحد الثلاثة لم تصح توبته. وإن كانت المعصية تتعلق بآدمي فشروطها أربعة: هذه ثلاثة: وأن يبرأ من حق صاحبها، فإن كانت مالا أو نحوه رده إليه، وإن كانت حد قذف ونحوه مكنه منه أو طلب عفوه، وإن كانت غيبة استحله منها، ويجب أن يتوب من جميع الذنوب، فإن تاب من بعضها صحت توبته عند أهل الحق من ذلك الذنب وبقي عليه الباقي. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. سبحان الله بحمده أستغفر الله وأتوب إليه. سبحان الله بحمده أستغفر الله وأتوب إليه. سبحان الله بحمده أستغفر الله وأتوب إليه. Going through the introduction of chapter of Tawbah in Riyadh al-Salihin, Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi has explained to us the importance of seeking forgiveness and turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fulfilling the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fulfilling the rights of the creation. When a person is seeking forgiveness from the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, three conditions have to be met for the tawbah, for the forgiveness to be correct and valid. And in regards to the rights of the creation, there are four conditions. Three are same as the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one extra condition, which is to fulfill the right in a way that if you have violated the haqq, if you have violated the right of the other individual, you have to repay, you have to compensate, you have to return. Or if you do not have that item, then you have to pay the person, you have to seek forgiveness from the other person. Once the forgiveness between the two individuals, between the two groups is not done, until they don't reconcile, until they don't make up, the tawbah will not be valid. In regard to this, we mentioned last week that the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compared to the rights of the creation, in one way they are less. So if you divide the huquq, you have 1/4 of the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other remaining, the 3/4 are more got to do with the rights of the creation. So that shows the importance of fulfilling the rights of the creation. Now when a person does not fulfill these rights, then in this world he will see the consequences, and he will also see the consequences of the violating the rights in the hereafter. Very simple to understand. When we are living in the country, you have the laws of the country, you have the principles of the country. When a person breaks any law, he has to pay a penalty for it. He has to compensate for it. Now these are the laws of the humans. These are the laws of this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is our creator. He has also set laws. So when we violate or when we break a law of the human being, and we have to face the consequences of it, and we have to face a penalty for it, more than that, when we break a law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will also see the consequences, and we will also have to face the penalty for breaking the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, the difference is that Quran tells us, وَمَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَيَعْفُو عَنْ كَثِيرٍ. That day in, day out, you are breaking the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are violating the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do see the consequences of it in this world. But وَيَعْفُو عَنْ كَثِيرٍ, most of the sins that you commit, most of the the laws that you violate and break, you don't see the consequence of it. Allah forgives most of them. Allah forgives most of them. If He was to punish us, Allah protect us, for every sin that we commit, we will not be able to exist, we will not be able to live. It is only through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He overlooks, He doesn't punish us for the sins that we commit. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the correct understanding of the fulfilling the rights of Allah and also rights of the creation. Now, one topic that we can relate to this is an important topic that we see the last week on Monday. Many of us woke up, or many of us heard about the earthquake that took place in 2 Muslim countries. Some people will have this question in their mind that why does this happen? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all merciful and He is the most merciful, He is very merciful, why do we see sufferings? Why do we see disasters? Why do we see incidents like this? Alhamdulillah, our Quran, our hadith, our deen has answers to every single question that we have in our mind. So inshallah, we'll just try to go through some of the answers and top points in regards to this. First of all, one point we need to remember is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a creator. He has created us, He has created the entire universe, He has created everything. So when we in this temporary world make something, we become the owner of that. We decide to do whatever we want with it. We built a house, for example, is on our name, is our house. We can make any changes into the house. Nobody has any authority of asking us, why did you make this change? Or why did you build it like this? Or why did you do this? Nobody has the authority to do that because it doesn't belong to them. Whatever is in our possession, whatever it belongs to us, we can do as we wish. Like this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is a creator. He has created us. And whenever He does something in the world, there are always reasons behind it. There are wisdoms behind it. And we cannot ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why have you done this? We don't have the authority. We don't have the right to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So through these things, we can witness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a creator. And we can understand how powerful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. He does what He wants. At one time, we can see goodness, and at the same time, we can see difficulty. At one time, we can see destruction, and at the same time, we can see that He has maintained something. The earth shook, many buildings, over 11,000 plus buildings were demolished, broken down, crumbled. In the midst of that, there were certain places, for example, a masjid. We might have received the video of Qari Ziyad Patel, as far as I remember, where he's standing near the masjid and he says the entire place around, surrounding the masjid, is in crumbles, broken, demolished. But the masjid stands, not even an inch, not even a small part of the masjid was damaged. So this is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like this, we saw that so many people passed away. At the moment, the numbers are going over 33,000. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to elevate the ranks of the shuhada. Now, in the middle of those, even though the numbers are going high, even in the middle of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept many alive. You may have read the news of the expecting mother. She passed away, and the baby still has got the cord on himself, and is attached to the mother, and the baby survives. Like this, a 10-year-old, after about 183 years, they managed to find him under the rubble, and he's still alive. Similar, a 5-year-old was asked after he was taken out, what did you do? How did you survive? Did you not starve? So he says that I would see a person in white, dressed in white, he would come and feed me and give me drink. Once again, here and there, a person in white would come and would feed me and would give me water and he would disappear. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has the ability and the power to provide sustenance for unborn child, where nobody can have access to. No human being, no machine can feed that child, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feeds that child. So if He's able to feed the child in the womb of a mother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give sustenance to whoever He wishes. So that's one point we learned, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a creator, He can do whatever He wishes, and however at the same time He has the wisdoms behind what He does. Number two, we can also learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the dunya, but ad-dunya khuliqat lakum. The dunya has been created to serve the humanity. It has been created to serve us. In Surah Al-Mulk, هُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ ذَلُولًا فَامْشُوا فِي مَنَاكِبِهَا وَكُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us here that He has created the earth for you. فَامْشُوا فِي مَنَاكِبِهَا. So walk in the path of this earth. وَكُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِهِ. And eat from the vegetables and from the fruits from this earth. اللَّهُ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ قَرَارًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has created the earth a place of settlement for us. We live on this earth, we stay on this earth, we walk on this earth. So this earth has been created to serve the humanity. However, at the same time, we will see that even though He has been created to serve the humanity, these tragedies, these disasters, these incidents take place. So now what's the wisdom behind incidents taking place and disasters taking place? In one hadith, Prophet ﷺ, he mentions that the matter of every believer, the matters that he faces in this world is khair for him. Is khair for him. عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. That every matter of a believer is strange. Every matter of a believer is strange. Why? Because when he أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاءَ شَكَرًا. When he faces difficulty, he does shukr, he's patient. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرَّاءَ صَبَرًا. And when he faces times of happiness, he does shukr. And when he faces the times of difficulties, he does sabr. Both of them, فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. Both of them are means of goodness for him. So every matter that we face in this world is goodness. Now, how is a disaster a goodness for us? How is an incident like this a goodness for us? Again, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he explains, and we learn from the Quran and the Hadith that we are going to be tested in this world. We are going to be tested in this world, and the test of every single person comes in different forms. Some people will be tested through amwal, some people will be tested through anfus, from beings, from souls, from deaths. Some people will be tested in their belongings, and different ways. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test us in different ways. But when He tests us, what does He do? He wants goodness from us. مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُصِبْهُ مِنْهُ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes goodness for that person, He puts him through tests. So now how is this test, how is this disaster a test for us? How is this disaster a goodness for us? One hadith that we learn from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the person who passes away in such incidents, he will pass away as a shaheed. Hadith of Bukhari, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that ash-shuhada'u khamsa, that the martyrs are in 5 different types. There are 5 different types of martyrs. Al-mat'un, a person who dies of some internal disease, some related to the stomach. If a person passes away in that manner, then that person will be a martyr. Like this, al-mat'un, a person who passes away because of a plague. Al-mabtun, a person who passes away because of an internal disease. So al-mat'un meaning from the plague. If a person passes away because of a plague, an illness has spread around, he will become a martyr. A person who passes away from internal illnesses is also a martyr. Wal-ghariq, a person who has drowned and passed away, is a martyr. And wasahibul hadm. This is the word of the hadith. Wasahibul hadm, a person who is killed by being crushed. Maybe a building has fallen on him, a house has fallen on him, and he has passed away in that manner. he's counted as a shaheed. And the last one was shaheed fi sabilillah, a person who passes away in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in jihad, he's also a martyr. So when we pass away, or when a person passes away in this disaster, those who have passed away in goodness, in iman, with iman, then that person is counted as a shaheed. So now that has come out to be a mercy for him. That has come out to be goodness for him. Now, for us to understand that in a different way, alhamdulillah, we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the du'as that we make that, oh Allah, give me high ranks in Jannah, give me Jannatul Firdaus. Now, Jannatul Firdaus is the highest rank we can achieve. However, when we reflect and when we look in our life, we will see that our deeds, our actions are very little. They don't deserve, the high rank. They don't deserve that rank. But because of us, alhamdulillah, making dua, in a moment, any moment of our life, a dua was accepted, and one of the dua that was accepted was that dua that Allah give me Jannatul Firdaus. So now because our dua was accepted and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised us to give Jannatul Firdaus, but we didn't have enough deeds, we didn't have any rewards for us to take us to that rank. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a person to a test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a person some sort of illness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gives him, such death, for example, in earthquake. Now that is a shortcut for him to the Jannatul Firdaus that he was promised for. So when a believer does sabr in the difficulties, when he doesn't complain, when he doesn't utter anything against the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that difficulty, that illness, that death will become a means of him getting high ranks in Jannah. So that's a mercy for us. That's a mercy for us. Now, He's also mercy for those who have survived or those who were not part of that incident, of that tragedy. For example, alhamdulillah, us, we were not there. Those people who were there, they survived. There is also a mercy for them. How is it mercy for them? Then the way it is mercy for them is that they've got a second chance now. They've got a second chance to make amendments in their lives. They had seen, you can say, death in front of them. Now they are still alive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them another chance for them to rectify their life, for them to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for those who were far, those who were away from the incident, from the tragedy, how is the mercy for us? It's mercy for us again to take lessons. That it could have been us there. It could have been us in that place where we could have passed away with the sins that we are involved in. So it's a lesson for us and a mercy for us as well, and a chance for us as well, where we can turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we can make amendments and seek tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is why we learn that these sort of tragedies, these sort of incidents and disasters are means of mercy for us. However, at the same time, is a wake-up call for us. Why is it a wake-up call? Because if you study and understand, these disasters take place. One explanation of this is, as in the aspects of this world and the means of this world, the scientists will say that the plates were grinding each other, they, going over each other causes these sort of disasters, earthquakes and tsunami. But that's the explanation. That's the explanation. The explanation according to our deen is, there are certain hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We've got incidents of Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha. We've got a hadith of Imam Bukhari, or hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. We'll mention this hadith, where hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقبض العلم وتكثر الزلازل. That the Qiyamah will not take place until you will see that the ilm and knowledge is uplifted and is taken away. Number two, وَتَكْثُرَ الزَّلَازِلِ, and zalzala and the earthquakes will increase. Just a few years ago, we heard of a big disaster, big earthquake. A few years later, again, we hear another disaster, another earthquake. So these earthquakes will increase. So this earthquake that took place last week, 7.8, a couple of hours later, there was another one at 7.5, and the aftershocks come up to over 600. So just in that one day, or 148 hours, there were around 600 earthquakes that took place, you can say. So from major to 3-point-something earthquakes that took place. So the earthquakes will increase. Now why do they increase? Hazrat Anas radiallahu anhu went to Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha to ask the question. that why do earthquakes take place? So she explained that when few things become very common, then you will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the earth to shake. And if the people don't take lessons, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the earth to swallow them up as well. And in another hadith, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that وَيَجْعَلُ مِنْهُمُ الْقِرَدَ وَالْخَنَازِرِ, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will turn the humans into monkeys and pigs if they don't take lessons, if they don't take heed and lessons. And what are those sins? In the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she says that when the people consider adultery permissible, when they consider adultery and fornication to be permissible. You see this nowadays, that nudity and adultery and fornication has become very common and widespread. So much so that people don't even regard, Allah protect us, as something to be impermissible and something to be haram. Tomorrow, Allah protect us, so many people will be involved in sins on this day. The title, one of the places I read, is Fornication Day. It's not called V Day, it's called Fornication Day. That's how people will be involved in sin. So when adultery become common, and again that you can elaborate, you can take hours and hours just explaining what that means. Number two, when alcohol, drinking intoxicants will become common. When drinking alcohol will become common. And there's so many other names for alcohol given nowadays, and people regard that as to be okay, there's nothing wrong. In one place he actually says that energy drinks that people take very lightly has similar effects of alcohol also. So they call it energy drinks, but when a person has consumed energy drinks, it veils the person's aql, understanding. That's a similar effect to what alcohol does. Alcohol has a major impact, but energy drink also has a similar impact. That's number two. Number three, when musical instruments become common. Music become common. So when these three sins, again, music become so common. In nearly every home, you will hear the music being played. There are so many homes where they watch TV, they watch, some whatever channel. In every series or every episode that we watch, music is involved. Again, fornication is involved, and you will see that drinking alcohol is being is advertised. So if these three sort of sins become common, and if they become widespread, and then the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend. Now, last point, the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend does not necessarily mean that it will descend on that part of the world where these sins are committed. Sometimes the punishment comes in another place. So if the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or these disasters have took place in another part of the world, we cannot say that those people were involved in sins. We have to look into our own life, we have to look in our own community, we have to look in around us, how much people, which way are they heading? Are they having more goodness in their life, or are they more involved in sins? The lesson we learn from this today is that we need to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Linking back to the topic, we need to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to do sincere tawbah. So when we do sincere tawbah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us also a high ranks in Jannah. Will also give us good life. And if we were to pass away in such disasters or in such tragedies, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate our ranks. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to do tawbah from adultery. Give us the ability to do tawbah from all types of sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to practice upon what has been heard and what has been said. Allahumma ameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة ما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.